And I just learned to play the ukulele. I think I only had it a few months. I was out there and I just played that thing from start to finish without a pause, as if like I knew it or something. I don't know how to explain that. It just downloaded it. To me, it's kind of my Russian roots. I've never quite done anything like that before. I don't even know what the chord, I have no idea how I know that. I had this thought once of an orchestra playing that. But isn't it weird that I didn't write that. It came through me. It's Russian, kind of Greek. Yeah, but to me it's Russian Jewish. I play that and I dance because it's a waltz. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And I get really silly. People love it. I do that in concerts. People love it. Because at the end I get up, I play that and I dance with them. And they're like, oh, this is so much fun. Those are the days. And I wrote this song for Kaya. I had a friend, she was so beautiful, you know. I loved her till the very end. And just before she left, she wrote us a letter. And this, my friends, is what she said. She said, now, hey, hey, all you gotta do is love one another, let another love you. She said, now, hey, hey, all you gotta do is love one another, let another love you. I knew a man, he lived up on a mountain. After 20 years, he came down from his cave. I asked him, please, what can you tell us? He just smiled, and this is what he said. He said, now, hey, hey, I guess the joke's on me. I spent all these years searching when I was already free. He said, now, hey, hey, I guess the joke's on me. I spent all these years searching when I was already me. I had a friend, she was so beautiful, you know. I loved her till the very end. And just before she left, she wrote us a letter. And this, my friends, is what she said. She said, now, hey, hey, all you gotta do is love one another, let another love you. She said, now, hey, hey, gotta do is love one another, let another love you. There's songs like that song, which I wrote. I wrote it where the voice works. I'm almost like singing, but telling a story.
That's where you should be. To me, your music could be storytelling, right?
Yeah. But funny enough, I can't think of a story to tell.
All you do is tell stories.
I guess that story could start in Batu Feringhi, Malaysia. The winter in Goa, the spring in Kathmandu. That year I went to Everest Base Camp. Somebody mentioned Bali. I'd never heard of Bali before. And so I headed to Bali, and I was in this little fishing village in Malaysia. And I met this guy, Bruce Berger. So Bruce and I got together, and we took a boat to Sumatra, and then we took another boat to Java, and then we went overland to Bali. Then I was 3 months in Bali. In those days, the village where we stayed was about a quarter mile from the beach, and there were just fields where the cows used to roam, and these magic mushrooms would grow in the cow shit. And we would pick the mushrooms, and the mama where we stayed, she would make us either like an omelet or a soup, and we would take these mushrooms. And I guess that's where I had my first, I guess you could say, spiritual awakening, or satori, or on mushrooms one day. I had a year ticket, I guess I had bought in Vancouver, and it was about to expire in like the next day. I had to go get myself to an airport and then get myself back to, I had to go from probably Bali to Singapore to India to England to London to Vancouver. So the day before I had to leave, we went up into the mountains, into Ubud, and stayed in a little hut on some rice fields. And I was having the time of my life, but I had a year ticket, and I think I had told my parents that I would come back and go back to university to be the good son, the good Jewish son. And I really didn't know what to do. So we went up to the mountains with my friend Bruce Berger, who I had been traveling with him for like 3-4 months. Around 6 o'clock, he went out for a walk in the rice fields, stayed in the hut, and I just started doodling. And I can't draw like a stick figure. That's about my level of drawing, about a 3-year-old level. But I draw this very intricate kind of crumbling wall, like an 8-foot high wall. And in the wall was a doorway, and the door was just slightly open. And above the lintel of the door, there was an owl. I had drawn an owl. And I drew this thing for a couple hours. And then I just was so exhausted, I fell asleep. And then the next morning at sunrise, he woke up and he said, at the time my name was Buffy, he said, "So Buffy, what did you decide to do?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Well, are you going back to Canada today? Or are you staying?" And I looked at him and I said, "I guess I'm staying." I mean, it just seemed obvious, like, yeah, of course I'm staying. And I looked at the drawing I had, and I drew this the night before, totally unconscious. And the drawing was clearly kind of a doorway into some kind of knowing had opened up. And the owl was just like, on top of the door was like, represented just wisdom, I guess. And it just seemed clear to me that it was showing me that to go through this door and continue in this path. My mind was made up without even having to make it up. The drawing just showed me the way. And I stayed. Bruce said, "Okay, well, now we have to take you to India next. You need to learn to meditate."